And as you guys know, because the poor guy just got, memed like crazy all throughout the tournament, Austin's defense was something that went viral in the wrong kinds of ways. He got picked on a lot in switches. And it was this really interesting, just the pros and cons were right there, to see on both ends of the floor. Because, again, the defensive stuff I think did overshadow. I mean, he was offensively, fantastic for a lot of that tournament. And I'm sure Rob Pelinka and that Lakers group loved what they saw there. But I don't know why I'm talking so much about your team and the guy you cover. What do you think? What did you see? What was the Austin Reaves experience?
Yeah, I think overall it was a very positive experience for Austin Reaves. Remember, this was a guy that when he made the roster, there were a lot of people saying he shouldn't have even been on the team. And they were
Right.
referencing, why isn't Trae Young on the team? Why isn't De'Aaron Fox on the team? This guy's just on the team because he's a white Lakers role player. And there's a lot of Alex Caruso buzz, and then now it's been Austin Reaves. But for him to go from realistically being one of the last players, I think, to make the team when you just look at the pedigree of some of the guys on the roster, to being, in the top 7 of the rotation, closing a lot of games. And I have the numbers here. He was second on the team in scoring behind Ant, 14 points a game, 56, 50, and 94 shooting splits across field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage, and 5th in the team in assists. So from an offensive perspective, I think Austin Reaves showed that run he went on after the trade deadline and the Lakers remade their roster was legit. From that point, he averaged about 17 points and 5 assists, was the Lakers' clear number 3 option. And I think that's going to be his role next season and moving forward. And I did a profile on him earlier in the summer, and we talked about Darvin Ham's comments of, about him potentially being an all-star in the next couple of years. And that's one of Austin's goals. And I really think it's possible when you factor in LeBron and AD are going to miss 15 to 25 games every season. That's just what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. So if you think about that and Austin Reaves' potential role when those guys are out, there's no reason to me that he can't average 18 to 20 points, 4 to 5 rebounds, 5 to 6 assists, and provide plus defense as a guard. I think with him, it's he defended Steph pretty well in the playoffs. I think that's more of his natural position. Is he's a 6'5" shooting guard who he can put the clamps on point guards and shooting guards. You ask him to switch onto a 6'10" big man, especially with the FIBA style of play where you can elbow guys, you can shoulder check guys. The refs are going to let you play. Yes,
Right.
Austin Reaves is going to lose those battles. So on the one hand, I think it showed like he does need to continue to get stronger, and the Lakers need to find ways to, like, we saw some of that in the Denver series as well, where if he switched on to Aaron Gordon's going to bulldoze him, get to the rim, draw a foul, score, whatever. But that's just kind of the limitation of being a 6'5", not athletic guard in the league. Like there is a limitation there. But for me, Austin showed what he showed offensively to me trumps anything that he didn't show defensively, where he's, again, we're talking about some of these guys on the, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. Like these are guys averaging 20 plus points a game, leading playoff contending teams. And Austin Reaves was the second leading scorer among the group. So to
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah, for
like
sure. I
you can
mean,
nitpick, yeah,
Bi
go
not
ahead.
even being able to get on the floor, a player of that caliber. You know what I mean? I mean that part I think was lost in the conversation that he competed and performed his way near the top.
And I think if the coaching staff viewed him as that level of a defensive liability, he wouldn't have been closing games. Like at some point, it would have been like the trade-off isn't enough. And we've seen that. Like for the Lakers, it happened with D'Angelo Russell, where Denver ruthlessly picked on D'Angelo Russell. Now he wasn't providing much offensively, so that kind of complicated things, I think, as well. But we've seen it in playoffs and high stakes games. If you can't defend, you usually get pulled off the floor. And I think Austin was so valuable offensively that definitely, to me, offset some of those defensive concerns. Now, they are legit, and I think the Lakers have to bake that into their defensive game plan of like, we can't have this guy necessarily switch onto a big man the way that maybe an Ant could. Ant's around the same size, but obviously stronger, more athletic. Like, so there are limitations there, but I think much was made, of that almost as like a backlash to all the Austin positivity. Whereas again, this guy was second on the team in points, fifth in assists, and he was doing all that coming off the bench as one of the last guys to make the roster. Like, to me, I think we're overcomplicating things.
John, before I throw it to you, I'll say a couple of quick things. For one, FIBA takeaways are hard, meaning, we've tried to do that today, figure out what is substantive and what really tells you something versus what doesn't. All you got to look at is the fact that, congrats to Germany for winning the whole thing. The idea of Dennis Schroeder, who was trying to get a job late in free agency, ends up with Toronto, a good, very good player, but Dennis Schroeder being the MVP tells you, kind of how different FIBA is. That's not disparaging FIBA. It is a team game in every sense of the word. But you got Dylan Brooks dropping 39 points, in the bronze medal game. Dylan he balled out all the way through the tourney. But takeaways are hard. The only thing I'll push back on Jovan on the Austin front in terms of the defensive liabilities in the tournament, the inherent nature of losing, like Team USA did, means you're going to bring scrutiny. So, that was the trade-off worth it in terms of what Steve Kerr and his staff decided to do? Ultimately, considering defensive struggles were the number one problem they faced, considering in the bronze medal game, guys like Dylan Brooks were getting off the way they were, it's certainly not Austin's fault. You watch those games, there was just zero resistance on the perimeter. It was unbelievable. In fact, in the bronze medal game, the commentators highlighted the fact that, when Canada played Serbia 2 days before, they just were not getting anything close to the looks that they got in that bronze medal game. So, but again, Austin on the whole, I think had a good experience. It's going to be a huge part of what the Lakers do this year.